everybody, and welcome back to another episode with Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. In case you don't know who we are, a couple of things. One, go ahead and follow us, like, subscribe, share on YouTube. Go ahead and follow us on Instagram and any of the other social media platforms that you're looking at us on. But let's break it down for you, ladies. We are the Black Coffee. Our lips drip with honey, and sometimes you got grits, but we always have sass, class, and all that ass. And so I would love for the ladies to introduce themselves, Carmel and then Dr. Jamesia.
I am Coach Carmel. I think I'm going to go, but I like the sound of that. So I am Coach Carmel. I am your health and wellness, fitness, and nutrition coach. I work primarily with folks who have come to realize that they have a sugar addiction or in adapting a whole food plant-based lifestyle in order to combat those conditions as well as whatever chronic conditions that come along with it. But I'm just really here encouraging everybody to go back to basics and put some plants on your plate. So Dr. J, mic is yours.
Hey y'all, I'm Dr. Jamesia, the nurse practitioner extraordinaire. I'm also your intermittent fasting and mindset coach, YouTube influencer, speaker, all the things. Welcome y'all. I'm excited about today. Back to you, Mike.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And my name is Maisha, also known online as Devi Maisha. And I basically work with Black women, mostly Gen X women who have found that their sex life is lacking. And we work together to take it from there to extremely hot and just exciting. We'll just leave it there for the moment. And this topic came to my mind. I know today is Wet Wednesdays, and well, for me, and I like to talk about things that are arousing. But what I have come to find out about myself, and I'm able to admit, is that success and money arouse me. Right? I mean, how can they not? Like it's just, yeah, right. It's arousing for me. And so I wanted to talk about success and what's holding you back. And part of the reason is because I just came back from an amazing event. I was just telling the ladies a little bit about it. I just came back from an amazing event. My business coach, Dr. Avis, held an in-person event at the MGM Grand at the National Harbor in Maryland. And for me, it was my first time being in a room filled with Black women who were successful entrepreneurs, millionaires, multimillionaires, and the way they poured in to us, the women who were there, and the one really brave man who came down himself. Shout out to Alan. Hey, and the experiences that we got to have. I was part of the VIP cruise, so the yacht excursion that we went on down the Potomac, and then there was an all Black a reception for everyone on Friday night where we just had the most delicious food that was served to us. And the whole experience was one of luxury and just up leveling oneself, because as the Dr. Avis will tell you, she's like, you deserve nice things, sis. Right? You deserve nice things. We are the descendants of those who gave their labor and literal labor for this country to build it up, and the Caribbean, the islands as well. You know, we provided the literal, the folks that they traded, that they sold. And so we deserve everything that we can possibly have. And as I was going through this weekend, and lots of crying on Sunday I did when one of the speakers really talked about the obstacles that you overcome in life and the things that you go through in life. It gave me pause to think about my success and also my lack of success, and where the disconnect had been in my life. I swear to you, I feel like I grew up like 15 years over the course of those 5 days, and really thinking about what has actually been holding me back, what has been sabotaging me. I could name all of the isms. Those aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So in spite of all of that, why have I not been at the place where I really want to be? And so I wanted to have that conversation tonight. And I wanted to have the conversation with my ladies here, and also for you to consider what has really been holding you back. When you stop blaming others, when you stop saying, well, my parents didn't give me, or I didn't have, or these opportunities did not exist for me, when you remove all of that and it's just you by yourself in a room and you're the only person left to ask, whatever success means for you, because it's different for all of us, what is it that may have be holding you back still? And we're also going to talk about how to overcome it. How have we overcome those moments or those times, and how have we continued to pursue success in spite of the obstacles that might have been in our way? So ladies, I hope that makes sense to you. And if you can think about times when you have not been as successful as you would like to be, or what did hold you back when you weren't as successful as you'd like to be, and how did you overcome that to be at the space that you're in? And I have my own answers too.
Repeat the question.
Yeah. So when you think about your own success, if and when there were times when you were not as successful as you wanted to be, what do you feel was holding you back, and how did you overcome that?
I can say for me, there's been several times. First of all, I feel like I am successful. I feel like I'm very successful. I feel like I'm where I want to be. However, it's never enough for me. I always want to up level and go to the next level. But what gets me are a couple things. Number one is it's me thinking about everything that may happen if I stop one thing and do this other thing. So it's the energy where I put things. So it's me saying, okay, do I want to put this energy here? And if I put this energy here, what will happen to other things that are on the table? So that's one obstacle, myself and my thought about what's going on. The other thing sometimes is what other people feed into me or tell me about me that I begin to believe. Or, some people think that I do too many things. I do too much. And sometimes maybe I do, but I'm the type of person that when I'm not giving it energy to my life, it's like I kind of just go downhill. Like everything kind of falls off because I'm not doing that thing that I love to do, which is seeking a higher plane, a higher ground. So more than anything, it's me and what I allow my thoughts to be about me. So if I don't stay in that positive light, I can kind of go down a rabbit hole and be an obstacle to myself. So.
And so what do you do in those moments, and particularly when it's other people who are saying things? How do you block out that noise so that you continue on your path?
Sometimes I have to meditate and say, is this true? Is what they're saying true? If it's not true, keep pushing. If there's some truth to it, are you going to iron it out and move forward? Or are you going to take heed to the good advice, if it's good advice, and not do the thing? But it all boils down to me and how I decide to handle it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I ask, is it true? Is it true?
Yeah. And that's actually, I don't know if you know who Byron Katie is, but she has this thing called the work. And it's these 4 questions that you ask yourself. And one of them is one of the first questions is, when you have this thought, is it true? Right. And it's like, what if it wasn't true? And you kind of go through this list of things. But the first question that you ask yourself is this actually true? And that determines the rest of it. Yeah.
And I think I learned that somewhere along the way. I think I probably learned that through the years, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Carmel? Where are the spaces where you go ahead?
I feel like I really resonated with what you were saying, Dr. Jamesia. For me, it definitely was me, but it was what value I placed on me and the product or service, the service I provide my clients. For a long time, when I provide services. I work with architects and engineers. So I'm not selling a product. I'm not, you know, I'm not I'm not selling them something tangible. In a way, yes, but I'm selling a service. And for a long time, my partner and I would have these discussions about how much are we going to charge for XYZ. And she would come up with a number, and I'm like, we cannot charge that much. Like, I'm thinking, that's extortion. And she's just like, for sometimes we butted heads on that. And for me, it was kind of like I was providing a service. We did it well. And when we did go higher than what I felt comfortable with, people paid. And for a long time, I would think, how are people paying this when it's so easy for me to do? Not understanding and realizing it's easy for me, right? But they cannot do it. They have someplace else they need to be. And the value of what I'm providing, they'd probably pay double or triple. But I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the value in what I provided. I couldn't see the value in myself. I couldn't even see the value in what it was that I can do. And that held me back for a long time. And if I can tell I've been in business since 2010. If I can go back 14 years and tell myself that back then, I think my business would have been on a completely different level. And then when I started realizing and understanding my value, the pandemic hit and really affected my business. But even now that I understand everything that I do in business has shifted and changed. So now I'm trying to play catch up with what I know I'm worth. And so now, even like what I've become passionate about is my fitness and nutrition. So now my heart isn't even where I know that I can excel because I know it so well and I do provide a good service. My heart isn't even there anymore. I'm over here. So now I'm learning about how to value myself in this space. So Maisha, you briefly spoke about where you were this weekend and how empowering it was. And I was in a space where I was introduced as the head or the lead of the health and wellness team. And people saw me as that. So people came and talked to me as the authority. Whereas I would never walk into the room and say, hey, everybody, I'm here. And right. I would never walk into a room and say that. But then somebody else edifying me in that degree help me walk in the room and say, hey, everybody, I am here. And sometimes it takes for us to see our own value and not necessarily for somebody else to tell us. It's like you have to feel it and project that. But sometimes we need that outside reinforcement in order to kind of give us that boost or that jump start for me to say, yes, I'm that bad bitch. So
No, I get that, Carmel. It makes you walk a little taller, puff your chest out a little bit. And it's like, I already knew this about me, but thank God somebody else,
saw it. Yeah, absolutely. And I love what both of you are saying. And I mean, probably Dr. Jamesia, like came into the world with some type of little chip in the back of her mind that said, no matter what I'm going through, I'm worth it. Like, no, go ahead.
No, I mean, I would agree with that. I would. And it's funny that we're having this conversation today because Carmel and I talked about the abundant mindset on Monday.
Yes.
And there's power in that. There's power in believing that, hey, this is it. I am her and she is me, baby.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Hold on. Who's this? Hey, Nicole. Seeing all these younger women in their BBL bodies affects my self-worth at 51. How do I compete? Before I get into it, let's help Nicole out.
You don't.
We're not competing.
Nope.
We're not doing that.
Mm-mm.
That's
At
first and
all.
foremost, point blank simple. We're not. We're
Mhm.
not. And if we feel the need to compete, for what? What for who? What do we feel like we're in competition for? What's the end? What's the purpose? What's at the finish line if we're competing?
And Nicole, these men want real women with real
They do.
bodies.
Yeah.
And just wait for him. But of
Mhm.
course, be out there mingling and talking to people and smiling. But in the end, oh my gosh, it's going to be a shit show when they get to, yeah, when they get to 70, 60, 70, it's
Mhm.
going to be a shit show.
Mhm. It
Yeah.
it really is. I don't think people
Mhm.
realize it's
Yeah.
short-term gain for long-term suffering.
Mhm.
Yeah, Nicole, I'm with the ladies. The question is, yeah, what competing with whom and for what? Because generally, if we're doing those things to our bodies, it's most likely because we're trying to compete for a man, and that's men are a beautiful prize, but they're not the prize,
We're
Right.
the prize.
and we are the prize. And altering our bodies in such a way for men who never asked for it, they never asked for it.
Mm-mm.
We've been convinced that they've asked for it, and certainly no grown man is interested in that. No grown-up man desires that,
You,
oh wow.
and honestly, we're the archetype. We are the ones who first of all, we're competing with our damn selves. It's like, okay, we got the booties, we got the breasts, we got the bodies, and then they wanted the booties, the breasts, and the bodies and the lips.
Right.
And now all of a sudden we got to get more booties, breast, body, and lips because we were the original with the booty, body, the lips, all that. So we're just overdoing it. And the BBLs, hey, if you have one, more power to you. But just know you don't. Men are not looking for you to have that. Now that's a world that we look at on social media and rappers and millionaires and all this and all that. That's not real. That's not real life. But if you want to enhance your body, it's okay too. Just be safe. That's all. And
And
let
know
it be for
and know
you.
who and what you're doing it for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let it be for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy for you. Pam, so happy to see you here. Thank you so much. I needed this chat today. I'm a retired nurse that just sent my resume 15 minutes ago and found you affirming what I'm thinking today.
All
So
right.
happy to have you here, Pam. Yeah, we got a good crew today.
Thank you.
So I love what both of you have said, and for me, I found, and then I was having this conversation with two of my children today about choices and what has held me back from my success, and then I had to be honest with myself. Initially, what held me back from my success was the fact that I had to put in a lot of work.
Mhm.
And I was raised as such a golden child, and things came so easy to me academically and in other places that when I actually then had to put in work,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, this must not be for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
This must not be for me. No, I get A's, but I don't study. This is clearly no. I don't know what this is, but it's not for me. And I didn't understand and recognize the value of putting in that kind of work just because I never had to.
Mhm.
So that there was that part. Then I didn't want to be responsible. I just didn't.
Mhm.
I had people, you would swear that I had grown up in some affluent home. Absolutely not. With everything handed to me to some extent in some ways. But I didn't want to be responsible. So when I was put in a position to now have to be responsible for my success, which meant me having to work for it, I was like, oh, this must not be for me. No, no. And then, unfortunately, I found myself in an abusive relationship, which literally took my brain and turned it inside out and twisted it 5 different ways to the point where I couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't. And my self esteem was brought down so low that now I don't deserve success.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
not for me. I'm so stupid. I made all of these mistakes, that kind of thing. So I had to spend years excavating myself from first working backwards from the toxicity of the marriage, then this idea of being responsible, then having to put in hard work, and then after that was the fear that people probably generally face when it comes to being successful, right? Because the average person faces fear when they're looking for greater success, and when they're looking for greater success in a relationship, in a job, in a career, whatever. I hadn't even gotten to that point yet because I was busy dealing with the other things. So then it was the fear. What if I fail? Then it was reframing failure, and what did that look like? What does that mean for me? And it has been such a journey to getting to the space of understanding who I am, what I want, this idea of who I thought I was. Also, the idea of, well, if I'm successful, does it mean I'm still Black? Like, am I leaving my people in the hood behind if I have all of this over here and they don't have anything because I got to be in the trenches with them? There were all of these things that I was taught around what it meant to be successful, especially monetarily, especially with wealth, and a lot of stories around what money was, and greed, and selfishness, that even if I was working towards it, I would stop myself. Working towards it, I would stop myself because it wasn't safe to have all of that. Right. So these are the things that I've had to work through in order to get to the space where I am now. And I'll tell a little bit about how I overcame it in a second. Hey, Raider Steeler fan. The main thing that can stop me is words. Words can be powerful, that can convert into belief systems that I didn't ask for. Absolutely. And I've experienced that myself. So the part of this, the reason this conversation came about is because my children were asking me, well, what did I do to change all of this? And that, much of this for me started in 2015. I'm already in my mid 40s when I'm really understanding this and coming out. My divorce was now final. I'm coming out of the haze of this relationship. And it was a combination of things. For me, it was the fear that was trapped inside of my body, working through that. For me, it was at the same time working on beliefs that I had. And literally to this day, I told them I listen to things overnight. I listen to subliminal messaging every single night, as often as I can when I fall asleep, because my default system will have me collapse. And so I have to be vigilant with that. It's almost like an alcoholic.
Consistency.
Yeah. It's like, but there's a like, so when you have an addiction, there's a default that you're going against, right? And it's easy to go into the default. You have to make a choice every single day. Every single day, I have to make a choice not to fall back into that way of thinking, because it is the easiest thing in the world for me to do.
Right.
But so this is the work that I now put in on a daily basis. And I was telling them at first, I said it's like working out. Like, you go to the gym one day. It's like you go to the gym one day, you go, I worked out today, body is good. And I was that person. Like, all right, I did a manifestation thing, whatever, and go. And it was like, no, you have to do this every single day.
And I think that's where people get caught up, right? It's kind of like we're told to set goals, and goals, oh my goodness, goals and planning and moving towards something is extremely beneficial and quite crucial. However, what happens when you reach that goal, right? What happens when, are you like, oh, okay, I'm done with life? No. And I always try to set myself up for another goal, whatever it is, whether it's fitness, whether it's something in nutrition, whether it's something my business. It's kind of like, now that I reached there, and no matter what I had to go through to ignite the belief in me that I can even get there. Like, I've set that down, I've laid that down, and I'm that strong. Let's see if I can make myself a little bit stronger, right? You don't reach your goals and say, all right, like, I can lie down and just don't do anything for the rest of my life. It does take work. It takes intention. And sometimes it's harder than we would like it to be. But the reward is so amazing when we can just like build ourselves up in that way, create that muscle, know that we have this perseverance. And certain times people just kind of think that it's not so, like Maisha said earlier, it was, if it's hard, I guess that wasn't for me. And and there's so many things in life that we feel like, well, I work hard at this and this and this, I'm not going to add something else to it, when that might be the thing that we actually need. There's a fine line between when we get to rest and when we still have to power through. And it's for us to even know and recognize and realize when I have to take a deep breath and step back a little bit.
That's right. Yes, nurse practitioner extraordinaire. Just like that movie, The Pursuit of Happiness. That's right. When he would not give up on it. And see, I was for sure a giver upper. I'll start it, and if it started to get too hard, best believe I would be like, what? Literally like a toddler. Why is this so hard? I don't understand. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do it. I'm not doing it anymore. It's just, and then I would be mad. Because why is my life this way? I just wish somebody would come along and give me the answers. And it's like, the answers are in the mirror.
For sure.
Yeah. And I just did not want to look at that. So overcoming these, and I have learned to see sabotage as the things that we do to keep ourselves safe. It's what we're used to. It's what keeps us in our homeostasis. It became easier for me to live in the pain that I could manage versus take the risk of being disappointed and being in a space that I didn't know. I knew how far I could fall down when I was already on the ground. But to risk going higher and then to crash, it literally felt like it would have actually killed me. Like I would not have survived something like that. And I might not have, honestly, if this were 15 years ago. But what I also see, and what I was telling my children today, and Carmel alluded to it, is the very thing, some of the things that we most avoid, that's really the tunnel that we have to crawl through. That's really where that the journey takes us to the other side, where yes, life is still challenging. I don't know where I got the lie or the idea that life was supposed to be fair or was supposed to be easy or was supposed to be set up a certain way. I received that message. I don't know how or why, but
you said it, golden child. They
right. Yeah. And yeah, parents, don't do that to your children. But it's really in working through some of those darkest fears when you get to the other side that build that muscle that lets you know, oh, I can do this. And so that baseline of sabotage, which was here, I found them was here, and then here, and then here, right? So it begins to shift. And for me, like I definitely have the goals. And I've also learned to focus more on my journey. That way, if for some reason that particular goal is not achieved, while I may have thought that was the goal, maybe my ego thought that was the goal, but the journey and who I've become to get what I thought I wanted has now actually led me to someplace even greater.
I love that. That's so
I've
beautiful.
learned to stay open to that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I just love that because it's so true.
Yeah. And so these are some of the ways that I have learned to overcome the barriers to success, because I think that sometimes we think, and I've seen it with my children are Gen Z. And, when we talked about entitlement, they were definitely like, well, yeah, we grew up watching Disney Channel. Like it was just supposed to, like, yay. And I was like, no, that's not how life works. I think that a lot of folks think that when it comes to success, there's something else in the way. And again, not saying that there aren't systems that are going to attempt, and I say attempt because they don't have to, that are going to attempt to block us from what we desire. But that doesn't mean that those systems have to block us from what we desire. That at the end of the day, as resilient as we are, as creative as we are, we can, overcome it. The biggest barrier to our success is the person in the mirror,
Yeah.
and the fears that
Mhm.
that person in the mirror is facing, and learning
Yes.
to overcome those.
Yep.
And
How do I look? How do I look going to class every day and not going to a job? Or how do I look going to a seminar how do I look to my family? I don't have the job that they think I should have. It's all about your ego sometimes too, so.
Mhm. And I really watched that, like I said, over the past couple of days, really being around Black women who, hey, Philly Great, over on Instagram. Tonight's topic is success sabotage, and it's all about how to overcome what's stopping you. Just looking at these women who, again, I've been in a room with millionaires before, but to be in a room with Black women who were millionaires. Some finished college, some had PhDs, some had not finished college, right? These were all entrepreneurs. These were women who, and this is not saying anyone's life is perfection. And there are areas in my life that I've mastered that they have not. But there are areas I went because the area in my life that I have not mastered, they have. And so I went to learn from them, because we often think that people have to master all of these areas of life before we can listen to them. We don't. They know something about business that I don't. They know something about owning and running a business and what it takes to do that I did not have the knowledge or the stamina for. And being in a space with these women was really like, oh, this is possible for me. I can have this, because I've mostly been in white spaces. And whether we realize it or not, sometimes being in spaces with people who don't look like you doesn't always lend itself to you saying, oh, this is for me too. It just lends yourself to saying, oh, I'm in this space. But being in the space with the Black woman, I was like, oh, this is for me too. And let me tell you, I want a life like some of these women have, a house manager and the chef and all the things that I've talked about having, because I've worked a lot. I don't want to do anything else. I'm getting older, right? I want to pay people who love to do the things that I don't want to do. And that requires wealth. And I want to give back to my community in a way that's substantial without somebody telling me what to do. And that requires wealth. And that it is very okay for me as a Black woman to have extraordinary amounts of wealth. And in fact, I'm owed and do that and deserve it on every level of my existence. But it was being in rooms with those women that really helped to solidify that for me. I did have a moment of like, how come I didn't know this earlier? because I wasn't ready.
That's
And that's
right.
what it is, right?
You're ready. Yeah.
So right. And Maisha, it's kind of like every so often we need these types of communities. We need this type of gathering to reinforce and re-solidify, right? Because it doesn't always stick. We are in a space for a concentrated amount of time, receiving so much value from so many other people. And then they say, goodbye, enjoy the rest of your life. And then you find yourself in negativity and shame and lack and questioning yourself and vulnerability. And every once in a while, we just got to get back into that atmosphere, back into that group, back into that community to recharge ourselves and try it again. So that part is important as well.
And to that point, I have been in a variety of communities before. I've been there and been on the outskirts of them, and but I was in the communities, but I didn't necessarily understand the value of the communities. And now I understand the value of the communities. When I was in Mocha Moms, when my kids were little, it was just I was in Mocha Moms. I was with these other moms, but I didn't understand at the time that being in community with other Black stay-at-home mothers helped me to reinforce the idea that it was okay for me to be a Black stay-at-home mom. I was just like, I'm just with these women. Being in this community that I'm in with the largely mostly women and few men who are looking to build businesses reinforces these ideas that I've learned here and that I will continue to take with me while I'm on this journey. And I think that that's one of the things that even we as Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits have that we are looking to work on together is creating community, because when you're in community with like-minded individuals, it makes life a little bit easier,
Mm-hmm.
right, to be in. And so to that end, we want to welcome you into our Facebook community, which if you go to our website, blackcoffeehoneyandgrits.com, you can join our community for just $7 a month, where you can commune with other women and the brave men who are in there, and get us as your teachers and guides, where we each come in once a week and we teach on a topic that is near and dear to us. You also get to know about events that we're going to have in advance, and other specials and savory things that we'll have for our community, which we affectionately call the honey dips. And Philly Great on Instagram says, so do you feel it's an individual's responsibility to bring the new and unknown wisdom to the community we know will judge and slander? I think I'm understanding a question. So do you feel it's an individual's, is it an individual's responsibility to bring the new and unknown wisdom to the community that we know will judge and slander them? I don't know if it's, go ahead.
I I don't know if I'm going to answer this correctly or not. My understanding is, if you have something that you know is for you and is going to work, should you bring it to people who don't believe in it?
Right. Yeah. Who are going to judge it? Yeah.
It doesn't, to me, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter who judges it or not. It does not matter. If you're sound in what you're doing, if you know what you're doing is for you, then move forward, because there's going to always be naysayers. Always, no matter what. Of course, if you got to balance that out too, though, because you're going to need some motivation too. But bring it to anybody, any and everybody. That's what I say.
Yeah, I agree with that. Is it the individual's responsibility? I don't know. That's if an individual feels it is. I feel it's my responsibility to bring something new and unknown to Black women. And I have been judged, and I've had some naysayers, but I'm going to continue to bring what I know to Black women, because I feel that strongly about it, whether I'm judged or not. I know Carmel is bringing something to, wisdom to community that she'll be judged for, right? Dr. Jamesia, we each are on some level, but when you feel called to do something, you're gonna walk that path, even if only one person hears you.
So real quickly, I do have to run, but real quickly, I love that question, because over the weekend, as one of our opening activities, we were all asked to write down or voice what our intention was for being there that weekend. And my intention was not only to receive value, but to give value. And yes, for me to speak into anybody else that might be able to resonate with the information that I'm giving, I feel like it's my responsibility. If I find myself in a community, it's my responsibility to share my truth, whatever that may be. So just adding to that conversation with that piece there.
Love it. And yes, as we were getting ready to wrap up, I just wanted to answer Philly Great's question. But we want to thank you all for joining us for another episode of Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. Please go ahead, YouTube, like, subscribe, and share. That is where you will find the replays of all of our live streams that are up there. Ladies, did you have anything that you wanted to say in closing before we head on out tonight?
No, I enjoyed the conversation. It was a great conversation. And I think it's one that we need to have more often. It's not something we should just talk about once. This comes up all the time in people's lives. And if you're not here tonight for this conversation live, then I'm sure we'll have it again eventually. But just check out the replay, check out our website, come join our Facebook group for $7 a month, see all of the stuff that we have going on. So that's it. I think we should always encourage each other.
Absolutely.
And
we will go ahead.
I would like to encourage everybody to read, to take another look at their definition of success. And just like what I just loved what Maisha had said, like we think that reaching that goal will make us successful, but what about the journey and the beautiful things that we experience on that journey that might even lead us down a different path? So
one of my favorite songs is Miley Cyrus's The Climb. And that's because that's exactly what that song encompasses is the climb. It's not the end. It's the constant climb. So y'all go check out Miley Cyrus, The Climb. We will be back here Friday at 11:30 for another episode of Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see the rest of you in our Facebook group. Have a good night, all. Bye.
Good night, y'all.